Hey YouTube, Patrick here, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit more of a public service announcement about selling Bitcoin on eBay. This is very attractive to a lot of people. However, there are a lot of hidden dangers that people, unless they have experience with this, have never dealt with before. The first thing that made me want to get into this is I was looking for cheap mining equipment because I wanted to get into mining. However, it seemed like the profits weren't really there. I figured if I get a cheap equipment, I'd be better off. So I was looking for this, and I found someone selling 0.01 Bitcoin for $1. And at the current market value, Bitcoin was $2. So selling 0.01 Bitcoin for $1 was like selling 1 Bitcoin for $1,000. And that's a markup per Bitcoin of about $800. So at that price, I realized not only I could make money mining, but I could also afford to expand my mining operation. So of course I tried this to sell Bitcoin for this price, and within hours I pretty much sold. I had, you know, maybe like 0.1 Bitcoin or something like that, but within the first hour I literally sold out, and then the next day I got my first chargeback, and then another chargeback, and then another chargeback, and pretty much about 75% of my customers were thieves. I had one honest person, which I actually felt bad about him because, you know, I was selling at such a high markup. But the good news for him and the bad news for me is the Bitcoin literally went up to $1,200. So it would have been a lot less trouble for me just to hold on to my Bitcoin and sell at the high price. And this is what I'm going to try to convince you to do if you're thinking about selling on eBay, just due to the hassle and all the money that you're going to pay out and the possibility of fraud. I'm well versed when it comes to eBay. I've ran an eBay store for a very long time, so I know all the ins and outs of PayPal and eBay and their policies. So when this first happened, within the first 24 hours, I was trying to think of a way, how can I get this guy? Because he's got my Bitcoin, and now he's trying to take back his money. And there's no way I can take back that Bitcoin. That's the one thing about it. Once the sale is final, it's final. But it's also a bad thing if you're trying to figure out how to, you know, if you have a thief amongst you. So what I ended up deciding to do is sending out a blank envelope with just the receipt in it. That would give a tracking number, because I know PayPal, if you don't have a tracking number, they're most likely going to side with the customer, whether you send it out or not. So I did this. I sent it out to everybody that was trying to steal from me. I sent them out a blank envelope with the, well, not blank, I guess, it has a receipt in it. But basically nothing of value, and it's only cost to me as an extra $1.69, and for how much of Bitcoin I was giving out, this was well worth it for me to spend this extra money to try to win these cases. And this actually worked 75% of the time. A lot of the people, once I re-challenged it, gave the tracking number to PayPal. PayPal sided with me, except one case, which I think the individual, I actually won the first case, and then he did a chargeback through his credit card, and that allowed him to win the case. And another thing I realized is how crazy and how just desperate people are to steal 20 cents worth of Bitcoin, and how much time they're willing to spend and to actually try to go out there and earn it for themselves. So I went back and rethought my strategy, because I felt, like I said, I didn't want to feel like a crook myself by charging such a high profit margin. So that was the key to getting honest buyers, is because people are going to give you an extra 10 to 20 to even 30%, because you can do it, the transaction so fast. They don't have to send a money order through the United States Postal Service or, you know, FedEx or whatever, and have it go to their broker and then buy the Bitcoin and then have it sent to the wallet. With you there selling that to them, they can automatically get their Bitcoin shortly after their PayPal transaction. You probably want to start your bidding with the least that you're willing to take for that Bitcoin. To at least start with your break-even point, and then go from there as far as your profit, because people can then bid on that who want that Bitcoin fast. Another thing, the second thing you could do to protect yourself is run a 24-hour auction. Most criminals and thieves are lazy pieces of crap, so they're not going to have the time and patience to sit through a 24-hour auction. Some thieves are, but for the most part, you know, they're lazy. You're going to really, you know, get a lot of the percentage of crooks away from your auction, and that's what you really want to do. Also, you can watch your buyers who are bidding on it. And let's say somebody with, you know, only one feedback score comes to bid, you know, right over top of an honest eBay or someone who's bought in Bitcoin on eBay before and you can see it in their transaction history, you know, you might be able to just refuse that first buyer and then contact the other one, the honest one, and then try to do some Bitcoining trading with him either offline or with a second chance offer. And the third thing that I did to protect myself against dishonest eBayers is I actually stated in the transaction, in the item description, that you are not legally buying Bitcoin. I put up instead for auction a penny. So that way they're legally buying this penny, and with my good feedback score as a trusted eBay seller, that they would get a free gift of whatever amount of Bitcoin that I was selling. That way there's a tracking number through PayPal. That's what they're actually buying. It says so. You know, also put there's no returns on this as well. You have to make sure you do that. So having a physical item to ship I think is very important, and it really helps your fraud cases. And fourth, just don't do business with people that have low feedback scores, or I would even say less than 1 in a month. You know, and at least over 20 transactions. Because as you get to see different buyers and bidders on your transactions and on your auctions, you're going to see what an honest person looks like and what a normal eBay user account looks like, and the difference between fraudulence, which usually maybe have 20 feedback score or more, but usually have 1 to no current month transaction. These people aren't buying a lot of stuff because they're trying to use these accounts to steal your Bitcoin. But it was really funny. During this, I was actually thinking of like, what's a better way than PayPal to accept cash over the internet? What's a wireless payment method that I could use that's perfect and won't allow me to get ripped off? And it's Bitcoin. And that's the answer to my problem of trying to sell Bitcoin. I should just be using Bitcoin, but I can't use Bitcoin to sell Bitcoin. So that's the dilemma that you come into, and I thought that was quite funny. So there are a lot of pros and cons with dealing with Bitcoin on eBay. Let's take a look at those. So let's go into the pros of selling on eBay. One are the customers. There's an unlimited amount of people that go through eBay. Everybody knows eBay. Everybody knows it's a big site. Everybody goes there when they need clutch items that they can't find anywhere else. And it's no different with Bitcoin. People want to buy Bitcoin and it's hard for them to obtain, so they go to the easiest place they know how to buy stuff, and that's eBay. Second of all, the 10 to 15% more money you're going to make. You're not going to make the 50% that you see sometimes in bids and stuff like that, because those are just dishonest people that aren't going to pay. But however, you can make an extra 10 to 15% because people are willing to pay more because it is a fast transaction. It is trusted through eBay. They feel more protected. So there is, and they do understand that eBay has higher fees and they are going to pay a little bit more. Third, how fast a transaction happens. Now this is more on the customer's end. You know, you can make your money and sell your Bitcoin like that. However, obtaining more Bitcoin is going to be a lot harder for you, and it's not actually as fast as you think unless you have an unlimited amount of Bitcoin to deal with, or not even unlimited, just a large amount. So now let's take a look at some of the cons over eBay, selling on eBay. One of them obviously is the thieves, the chargebacks, the dishonest people that who are going to try to steal your Bitcoin. It stinks having to go sell a Bitcoin to what looks to be a trusted eBay and ask him all these questions and to try to see if he's real. And every customer you're thinking is a crook, and it stinks to do business that way. Two, the lack of protection that eBay and PayPal give you. I spent a lot of time on the phone with both PayPal and eBay, and a lot of people that work for PayPal and eBay don't even know what a Bitcoin is, let alone eBay or PayPal having some specific laws or rules and regulations when come to dealing with digital currencies. The only other thing that they had similar was dealing with like the World of Warcraft dollars or something like that, which didn't really apply to Bitcoin since it is ruled, I think, a currency in this country. It's at least a commodity. So there's just no structure, and they really won't protect you. I think PayPal doesn't like the fact that you're competing with them or using something that will compete with them, and I just really didn't find a lot of help from PayPal or eBay when dealing with this. A lot of the guys on the phones is, yeah, you should call them and you shouldn't have to pay this, you know. They kind of side with you, but when you actually call, you know, PayPal and say, hey, look, you know, this guy stole from me, they won't accept the blockchain info. Plus just the fact that they won't accept blockchain info as proof of payment, which everybody knows in the Bitcoin community that is the the ledger, basically, that obtains everything, that has every transaction, and it's easily to prove that, you know, I sent X amount of Bitcoin to this person using this method. However, it's not recognized through PayPal or eBay. Another negative or con is the amount of money that eBay and PayPal and shipping costs are going to take out of your profit. Unfortunately, everybody knows about eBay is about 10%. PayPal can be anywhere from like 3 to 5% depending on the amount of the transaction, and then your shipping costs. So this huge markup that you're seeing, even with honest eBayers, you still got to pay, you know, eBay and PayPal, so you're really not gaining as much as you think. And there's a lot more running around time. I had problems with the transactions that I did cancel, having them being invoiced to me still, even though I canceled them. So that's you know, another couple hours I spent on the customer service through eBay. Luckily, they were, you know, eBay's customer service is still pretty good, and they were able to take off these charges for me. But still, so the time that I had to do that, the time I could have been just trading on my brokerage site and making money that way. And another con is the amount of time spent at different financial institutions, as opposed to if you just did it through your broker, it'd be right there. You'd have the money, you'd have the Bitcoin. It's very fast to transfer Bitcoin on and off to a brokerage site. Money's a little bit longer and a little bit more difficult, but that's the problem. Once you sell it on eBay, say you take a Bitcoin that you bought, first you have to go buy the Bitcoin. You got to go purchase a money order at the post office. You got to send that. You got to wait for it to go reach your brokerage, their actual physical location of where they're located at. And I had an example of one time it took literally 3 weeks for an envelope to get there. It was tracked, thank goodness, so at least I knew where it was going. But it went all over the place, and it literally took 3 weeks. So that's 3 weeks I'm not trading, I'm not buying Bitcoin, I'm not doing anything. I'm, you know, basically losing money at this point. Also, once you send it to the brokerage site, you know, that you buy the Bitcoin and you send it back to your wallet, and then you have to, you know, send out your penny or your physical item or your physical receipt. And then so you got to take your PayPal to your bank account, and that takes another 2 days. And then from your bank account, you have to go to your bank and transfer that money out, or use your debit card at the post office to buy another money order that you're going to send out, and hopefully that doesn't take 3 weeks. So it's just the time that you waste, where if you just would have had the money on the brokerage site, you know, bought some Bitcoins, sold some Bitcoins, you know, watch the dips in prices, you know, take it off the site days that you're not able to watch and trade, would just be a lot faster than selling on eBay. And last but not least, the post office problems that I have. I've specifically made that a specific con on its own because, like I said, I had 2 envelopes. It was, granted, it was Christmas time, but I'm trying to make money, and not due to my fault, I'm unable to because I'm waiting on somebody to deliver mail. Hopefully the trading site that I trade in is now taking ACH check transfers. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm going to be able to do that soon and save myself a ton of time on waiting for checks and money orders to go through the mail. So it might be very tempting to sell on eBay, especially right now, you know, when it takes a big dip in price. You can recover the money and have all your money that you just had in your pocket if you can just sell it for an extra 40%. But just remember that those people aren't probably really buying Bitcoin, and they're really probably not going to pay these high prices because they're not paying at all. So I hope you found this video informative. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Please feel free to donate. If not, just thanks for watching, and I'll see you on YouTube.